Díomh agus fáilte ag Clerk Community Focus. Hello and welcome to the Community Focus programme on CavanTV.com. This programme is sponsored by Eason's of Main Street Cavan and Pearse Street Mullingar. This programme is dedicated to all things community in County Cavan. If you would like to comment on the show or have your community initiative or issue featured, please email drumlinmedia@gmail.com or contact us via our Facebook or Twitter pages. Now, joining me up first tonight in the studio, I have Bob Gilbert and Margaret Sweeney from Toastmasters. So, welcome.
Oh, thanks.
You're going to tell us a little bit about Toastmasters in Cavan, the Cavan branch, and what's involved. Maybe, Bob, if I start with you, and just give us a little bit of background to Toastmasters and in particular Cavan branch.
Well, Toastmasters is a worldwide organisation. It was founded in 1924 in America by a Dr. Ras Smedley, who was working with young men, and he discovered that they were reluctant to speak. They were reluctant to take part in debates. So he devised this idea of teaching them how to speak in public. And eventually, in the 1940s, Toastmasters spread outside of America and has now become a worldwide organisation. And the basic aims of Toastmasters is to help people develop their speaking and communication skills, and also to develop leadership skills. Sometimes people think an organisation like Toastmasters is actually a teaching organisation, but it's a learn by doing organisation. Mm-hmm. In other words, the members learn by taking part in the Toastmasters programme.
Yeah, because you were saying earlier, I mean, Toastmasters, you really do associate it with public speaking, but you were saying that, that leadership is also a key part of it, that you take turns in chairing meetings.
Like the Toastmasters programme is to create, I suppose, the complete person, if you like, the leader. A leader needs to be a good communicator. But also in the Toastmasters Club, each meeting, the leadership roles are taken on by different people. So each member gets an opportunity to perform a leadership role probably a number of times a year. And there are also, of course, leadership roles within the club, and by that I mean officer roles. Mm-hmm. And each officer attends training twice a year. So there's a big emphasis on leadership as well. Mm. And
would you change roles then frequently within the Toastmasters branch here? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the officer roles remain for a year.
Right.
And the officers then change at the end of the year, but the meeting roles change every meeting, so that you have a different person chairing each meeting. Mm. You have a different person. We also conduct impromptu sessions, which are topics, so we call them topic sessions, where a leader throws out a topic and asks 2 or 3 people to speak on that topic. And they're limited
at random, or can people volunteer?
Well, normally what happens is that the first speaker is picked upon, picked, and then anyone who wants to add on then can do so. And that is a discipline in itself, because it's limited to 2 minutes per speaker. Mm-hmm. And the idea of limiting it to 2 minutes is, I know anyone who has ever been to meetings and has heard someone get up to make a point, and 5 minutes later they haven't reached that point, or haven't made that point. Whereas in Toastmasters you have 2 minutes on the impromptu speaking to make your point, get your point across.
It's encouraging you to be very effective with the time that you have,
limited
time that you have.
Yeah.
And think on your feet.
Oh,
which is
most
good.
Definitely,
It's a great skill for anyone to develop.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Margaret, I'll go to you and maybe ask you about joining Toastmasters, when you first of all got involved in it, and from what you have gained from it to date?
Okay. Well, about 18 months ago, Laura, I was moving into a different area of work, and I knew communication was going to be extremely important, and not just communication alone, but different communication skills. So I thought it would be a good idea to go and get a bit of help, and I was directed towards Cavan Toastmasters, which had been set up just a few short months before that. For me, the benefits were immediate. Things like organisation, presentation, were things that I had overlooked previously, and were very beneficial to me then when I started working. Also, elements that I hadn't considered before, like listening skills, evaluation, feedback. I work a lot with groups, so they were skills I hadn't considered before and had really very little experience in. So in those terms, I found that, as Bob mentioned, learning those skills and getting the opportunity to practice them at the meetings were great for me.
When you say evaluation and feedback, do you evaluate each other within the group, each meeting?
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Evaluation is actually one of the key elements of Toastmasters, because it is giving the speaker feedback on their speech, and the feedback is generally outlining the strengths that the speaker can build, the strengths the speaker has that they can build on. And if there is a weakness, that a suggestion is made as to how that weakness can be overcome. I'll give you an example, I suppose. Sometimes people are very static when they're speaking. They stand rigid almost. And kind of even a suggestion is that they move, maybe even towards the chair person, if they're making a point, or move a bit towards the audience if they're making a point, rather than standing static. I mean, that's just one example of how we can help them improve. Another example would be looking maybe at the structure of their speech. Maybe maybe it had a weak, the start of the speech was weak, or the end of the speech was weak. And you don't just say that, the speech had a very weak opening. You actually show them how they might improve the opening. So it's not just a matter of evaluating and giving a critique. It's a matter of giving encouragement and also making suggestions for improvement. So the whole idea of Toastmasters is that all the members work together to make each other the speaker and communicator that they want to be. It's not
a lot of peer support.
Yes.
It is a very supportive environment. And the opportunity is there to practice, and as Bob says, every club has to have a purpose, and that's Toastmasters. Throughout, the aim is to provide a supportive environment for people to learn these skills and then to go ahead and practice them.
And can anyone join at any time?
Oh, definitely. We'd be delighted to see new members all the time. If, for instance, somebody was curious about Toastmasters, we'd love to see them come to one of our meetings. We hold our meetings in the Cavan Crystal Hotel on the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of each month.
Okay.
And if they come along about 8 o'clock, our meeting starts at 8:15. They can feel free to just sit down, observe the meeting. They're under no obligation to speak or take part if they don't want, but they're very welcome to do so.
For the first meeting, they don't have to take part if they don't want to. They can just come in and observe it.
Sure, and it's free of charge to guests. So we would like to see new faces, because every club likes new people. You've got new ideas, new thinking, and it keeps a dynamic in the group as well.
Absolutely. And for somebody then new coming along, what kind of process is involved, or what can they expect? What skills, like, would you look at all types of skills? That I know some people are good at speaking, public speaking. They may not be very good in a small meeting or more of a one-to-one setting. So do you work on all those kind of ranges of
well,
skills?
there are various projects within the Competent Communicator program, and there's also a leadership program. So you may wish to do any of those projects. It's up to yourself. The individual member sets the pace for themselves. There's nobody pushing you into anything that you're not ready for. And when you speak of new people coming along, people who might like to become members, they can be confident that they will not be asked to do anything until they are ready. And what usually tends to happen is that when somebody is ready to do a speech, it's called an icebreaker. This may be their first opportunity to speak before an audience, and the subject is usually themselves. It's the easiest thing we can talk about is ourselves.
Okay.
So it is giving that person the opportunity, perhaps for the first time, to speak to an audience. And there's usually a time limit on all our speeches as well. So they would also be assigned a mentor who would help them to organise their speech and generally be there to hand for any questions that they might have. So the support is there. If the desire is there on behalf of the member, the support is there, and there's a fabulous network then around of supporting clubs.
So you'd be helped with your first speech. You'd have somebody giving you a little bit of direction or guidance on it.
There's mentoring is very much part of the Toastmasters program, and particularly for a new member, and for their first 3 speeches they are mentored, and if they need the mentor to stay with them for another couple of speeches, that's fine. But if a mentor is appointed to them, then that mentor is with them for the first 3 speeches and helps them with those speeches. But as I said, the mentor can remain with them for longer if they wish.
And would everybody make a speech at each meeting, or?
Oh no, no. We have a vice president, education officer, who will look for people to speak. There would be a maximum of 3 speeches at any one meeting, and they would be at different levels. No, not everybody wants to speak. Members coming in might prefer to take part in leadership roles, and we have several of them, and each officer can be evaluated on that role and how they might improve or how good they were. Their strengths will be identified, but it's all about improving. We can all improve in everything we do, so it really is a self-development thing as well.
And I was just talking to somebody at the weekend who said that they were absolutely, they can talk in a meeting and ask questions in any kind of situation, but when it comes to standing up in front of people and making a speech in front of somebody, they absolutely freeze up. They were seeing black spots in front of their eyes. They, out in a cold sweat, couldn't do anything. Have you worked with people like that, people with that level of fear, join Toastmasters and managed to overcome their fear?
I have, yes. And there are a number of ways that you can get them to do that. One is maybe, instead of doing a speech, stand up in front of the audience and read a poem that one of your favourite poems, or a piece of prose or something, to just get you standing up in front of the audience, doing something, or speaking. And I suppose reading a favourite poem is probably the easiest of all those things to do.
Yeah, because it's not your own work, maybe.
Yes,
or,
yeah.
That
So that gets a person standing up in front of the audience.
Mm-hmm.
There are also kind of roles within the meeting where, now, say in the meeting we have a forge officer, someone who greets everyone coming in, and particularly new people. And normally when the meeting starts, the forge officer is asked, how many people are at the meeting, and and the forge officer can come up to the front and stand in front of the group and say, there are 21 people at the meeting. There are 2 guests who have never been to a meeting before, and their names, and welcome them. And that's just 20 seconds, of standing in front of the audience, just saying a few words.
Yeah.
So that's another way of getting a little bit of practice of standing in front of an audience. So there are numerous devices that we can use to get people standing in front of an audience for the first time.
Well, obviously the 2 of you are great ambassadors for it as well. You've no problem speaking speaking in front of others, and I think I might even join it myself.
Well, we're delighted to see you, Laura.
Yeah.
You'd be very welcome.
How much is it if somebody's interested in joining? Is there costs involved?
Well, there is a cost involved. There is a fee that has to be paid to Toastmasters International.
Right.
And for that fee, you do get certain services, like there's a monthly magazine and various other bits and pieces. And there's also a fee on joining, which gets you a number of manuals. You get a manual which has criteria for 10 speeches.
So there's a lot of resources.
There's
there
a lot of
given,
resources,
at the beginning.
There's and also you get manuals on how to how your body can speak, and
so looking at body language as well as communication.
It's looking at the whole area of communication, the complete, using body language, facial expressions, even.
So where can people go then the next time? Because we have to wind it up, I'm afraid now.
Well, people can find us on Facebook.
Okay, Facebook.
Our meetings are held, as I say, on the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of each month.
So anyone can go along first meeting free of charge and just observe, is it?
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
We'd love to see you.
Everyone's welcome.
Great, well listen, thanks a million for joining us. We'll just take a short break, and we'll chat to Brian Hora, the Town Clerk, after this. Thanks.
Pat Short here. You're watching Cavan TV.
I'm Gavin Duffy, and I'm saying watch cavantv.com. It's a great opportunity to see some great programs, and you can watch it all around the globe via the internet and on many platforms. I watch it myself. Great stuff.
joined by Brian Hora, who's the Town Clerk, Cavan Town Council. Brian, congratulations. Cavan is second from the top, isn't it, in the IBAL anti-litter?
That's right, yeah. It was
survey,
announced there in the last couple of days that Cavan came second in the 2012 anti-litter league, which is a good achievement.
But they've been consistently up there on the top since this survey started, haven't they?
That's right. The league has been running since 2002, so this was the 11th year of the league. And in those 11 years, the Cavan Town has been in the top 4 on 9 occasions, and in the top 2 on 6 occasions, and has twice won the league.
Fantastic.
So this is the 4th time we've come second.
Well, that's some achievement. I'm sure there's a lot of towns that would like to be in that position.
Certainly there is. There isn't another town in the country that can match that record. We're consistently in the top 2 or top 3 in the league every single year, and that was noted by Dr. Tom Cavan last week when he made the awards and the announcement. What we found over the years is that other towns make a big effort and get into the top 2 or 3, and then they fall back again in subsequent years, whereas we've actually maintained our performance and stayed in that top 1 or 2 places over the 11 years.
People become complacent maybe when they get to the top, but Cavan doesn't. So what's the secret to your success?
I think the secret, like a lot of success, it just boils down to hard work. That's really what it's all about. Hard work both from within the town council, and then hard work in terms of working with other agencies and other businesses in town as well to try and keep our town clean. It's not that we don't have a litter problem, people still do litter. But we have an annual street cleaning programme in place to deal with the litter that is dropped, and we have a number of initiatives through the local schools. The Green Schools programme being one example of that, to try and educate people and trying to deal with the litter management issue in the town.
Is there to get involved in the Green Flag programme in schools? Educating people not to be throwing litter. Or do you have educational programmes?
There is, but the Green Schools programme is the best example of that. I know with our colleagues in the waste management section, the county council, they would work with the schools on helping and advising them in terms of their achieving their Green Flag status. And it was actually noted in the report for 2012. The inspector was very complimentary to the 3 national schools in the town. Those sites were surveyed and they were all found to be to a grade A standard, which is the highest standard you can achieve in the competition. So they're
some achievement for schools as well, isn't it?
It's a huge achievement. It is a huge achievement. Yeah.
Try and keep litter at schools, I'm sure, is a huge task.
Yeah, well, it boils down to education. If you can educate people as young an age as possible, they do learn about the negative impact of littering, both from a visual point of view, but also from a health and just people's general quality of life. And that no one wants to live in a town that's classed as a litter black spot or is known to have a litter problem. And thankfully in Cavan we don't have that problem.
And what other initiatives do you have in place that have helped the town to achieve this status?
Yeah, I suppose one of the main ones is our own street cleaning programme that we have that you see our lads out.
They seem to be really out every day, are they?
They are out every day. Yeah, we have a good crew of lads there who understand what their job is, who take a lot of pride in their work. And again, that was actually mentioned in the report because one of the inspectors actually interviewed one of our staff when they were in town doing the inspections, and they actually commented on the sense of pride that was shown in the work. And that, I think, comes through, and you see that when you see the lads out there doing the work. It's not easy. They're out there 5 days a week in all weather, and it's street cleaning. It is hard physical work, so I think quite it goes to them. So the other initiatives that we've done, obviously we'd work very close with the Tidy Towns Committee in promoting litter awareness and litter awareness campaigns there, but also through our own estate awards competition. There's a big focus there on keeping residential areas within the town clean and tidy.
And how did the estate awards work?
The way it works is that every year the Cavan Town Council organises an annual competition, whereby we invite estates within the town area to apply to the town council for a grant towards doing upkeep or improvement works within their estate. Every estate that applies for a grant is automatically entered into a competition at the end of the year. And I think last year we had 61 estates in the town took part in the competition, which is a record number.
Huge.
Massive number.
Majority of estates in the town.
There's maybe 5 or 6 that don't take part at this stage.
Yeah, they're probably newer estates, are they?
They're newer estates, are the ones that would have maybe taken part previously that for whatever reason didn't come in last year, but we know they're going to come back into us again this year when we run it again this year.
And how much is the maximum grant maybe that an estate could apply for?
We actually don't put a maximum on it.
Right.
It's very much based on the application that comes in for the estate. Now, typically, we would have given grants anything from €250 up to maybe €800 or €900, depending on the work that's actually involved in it. Annually, the programme costs us about €25,000, but it's probably the best €25,000 that we spend, because you're improving residential areas, you're getting people working together to improve their own local area, and that obviously has a knock-on effect then throughout the town as well, because people are kind of aware of, well, I shouldn't have, I'm not going to drop rubbish on my own doorstep, I'm not going to do it on someone else's doorstep. So that's a huge part of the programme as well.
And it's educating the young people as well in those estates as well.
Yeah, exactly. There's actually a particular category within the competition for Best Youth Project, and that's sponsored by the local Tidy Towns Committee here in town. There's another important point to make as well, which is the inspectors, when they're coming in, it's not just public areas that they're looking at. They would also inspect the business parks and the retail parks around the town, and again they would have their own cleaning programs in place. So again, to compliment them on the work that they've done, and to congratulate them on keeping those areas clean and tidy, again, that was noted and reflected in the report. And also the Cavan Institute, because again that was a site that was surveyed. It performed very well in the early part of the year, and again it got a grade A rate in the end of year report as well.
That's great. Yeah. The third level institute as well. Yeah.
Again, with the volume of people going through there,
absolutely. Full time and part time. Yeah.
Exactly. So as I said, there was 14 areas in the town were surveyed for the league last year. Here specifically in Cavan, and of the 14 areas, 13 achieved the highest grade of grade A, and there was one grade B area. That's the difference between going first and second.
Right, yeah.
So it is quite tight. So
brilliant achievement. Yeah. But I suppose the amount of bins too around Cavan town and was emptied, and serviced and. Yeah,
exactly. And this is, I suppose, in the context of, we've obviously been under pressure from a budgetary point of view in the last couple of years, and we've had to reduce our budgets.
Yeah.
But we've been able to maintain those services, and not just maintain the service, but maintain our performance in the Litter League as well. So we're pleased with that. And
sometimes would argue that the less bins you have, the better.
That's true. It can very sometimes depend on the size of the town.
Yeah.
I know the town that won the National Tidy Towns competition last year. I can't think of the name of the town at the moment. It's a town in Longford.
Arda, would it be?
It's something like that. I can't think exactly which one it was.
But probably Arda. It's really picturesque.
They took out all their litter bins. Now that might work in a smaller town or smaller village, but in a bigger urban area, you do have to provide bins.
Yeah.
We do empty them regularly as well. So that's another important thing we have to do.
And what about major events as well? And particularly at the time of the Fla, and I don't know if any of the surveys were carried out close to that time. That must have been huge pressure on litter and the cleaners. The town cleaners.
It absolutely was. For each of the 3 years when we had the Fla, we had to put a specific litter management plan in place for the Fla, because obviously the volume of people that comes through does create an awful lot of extra litter. Particularly at night, people getting takeaways or fast food and that kind of thing, and that just gets thrown on the ground. Bottles, glass get broken as well. So part of the plan that we had was we had people collecting glass bottles and cans and things in the early part of the evening.
Right.
And then our street cleaning crew were starting about 4 o'clock in the morning to come in and start the clean-up operation. And they were cleaning people up as well. Some people actually moved out of the way for the street cleaners and that kind of thing. But we had our crew in place. They come in 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, and started to clean up at that point. And by the time people woke up and the town woke up, it was spotless again. And people don't see that, unfortunately. They don't realise maybe.
Well, I think a lot of people were talking and were quite amazed, at the clean-up process that was taking place over the Fla. Recycling as well has been quite big in the last number of years. And a number of recycling centres. Cavan, has that helped with the? It has, and I think people are more conscious about recycling. I think most people now have 2 or 3 different bins, and understand about segregating rubbish and putting it in the proper recycling bin. Is the cost factor probably something to do with that as well?
Possibly. Now again, we have a number of bring centres here in the town, and I suppose the most notable one is the one in the Main Street car park, between Dunn's and Tesco there.
Yeah.
And again, it's noted in the report. It was kept clean and kept tidy. Sometimes bring centre can actually attract more litter because people come and leave bags and boxes beside it.
Wonderful, yeah.
When they are full, but we've been able to keep a good handle on that and keep that clean and tidy as well. So, like I said, it is hard work. It's a lot of planning and organising, but I think the benefits are clear.
You have a good campaign in place. I know you have the flowers as well. Can you just tell us a little bit about the...
I can.
in there?
People might not realise, but for the year just gone during the summer months, we had in excess of 370 floral displays around the town, between planter boxes, hanging baskets, tubs and things like that. And that's not including landscaped areas in town as well. Again, we have a dedicated horticultural team who propagate their own plants, grow them, put them out, maintain them during the summer months, look after them. And that all adds to the whole visual appearance of the town. To have over 370 out around on display around town is a huge number.
Yeah.
And that was one of the very positive things that we got during the summer, was the feedback about the floral displays around the town.
But it's good for businesses as well. The costs involved with the flowers.
Absolutely,
the
it is.
support for them and the watering service.
What we would say is that a town that looks well, that's presented well, will do better than a town that's not presented well.
Yeah.
So, from the town council point of view, one of our objectives every year is to make sure the town is clean, it's tidy, it's well presented, and to make an attractive place for people to come and do their business, and
for
also
tourism.
for people to live in the town and for visitors to the town as well.
Do you think it will help tourism in Cavan? I mean, being consistently up there as a litter-free zone, and it has to, I think putting Cavan out there anyway.
Absolutely, and it's getting Cavan's name on the map. And I know with the town council and the county council over the last number of years, we've done a lot of work to promote the county as a place for people to come and visit. Not the Flas is the obvious example of that, but there's a lot of other things happening as well. And obviously this year being the year of the gathering, there will be other events taking place in the town during the year. Again, I think the fact that we can promote ourselves as being a clean and tidy town, and a town that's puts effort and focus on that, it certainly doesn't do any harm to us.
And you have the experience from the FLA for major events as well for the gathering, so you have that policy to put in place.
We know what's required to keep a town clean and tidy during a major festival, and I would hope that people, when they are maybe looking at deciding where they're going to go for a weekend away or a few days away, that they will consider coming to Cavan, because they will get a good welcome here. They'll come to a town that's clean, tidy, that's welcoming to them as well.
Yeah. And it has loads of attractions and amenities.
And it has plenty to do. And again,
nice hotels and great restaurants.
Absolutely. Yeah. We would look at our programme every year and try to come up with things that we can do to help to improve the overall appearance of the town. People might have noticed that the Gallows Hill area has been renovated in the last year.
Yes, that's
there's a viewpoint looking across the whole town there, and also on the Dublin Road, the Green Lake development has been completed now as well. So there are two areas which were neglected, which were overgrown, which were little black spots in themselves, because there was no need. People didn't go there for any reason other than maybe what you might call antisocial reasons. But by cleaning them up, getting them tidied, and keeping them in a good condition, we're actually reducing our costs in terms of litter cleaning, because there's not as much litter building up there anymore.
That Green Lake actually looks nice. It's nice to have that as a feature within the town.
That's been a long-term priority of the town council for that project to be done. So we were delighted to be able to work with the local Tidy Towns group in assisting them to get the project over the line. It was a great achievement for the Cavan Tidy Towns group, and we were happy to work with them on it.
And you have the new ring road now around the town, and is there any plans then on developing that kind of area?
Again, we will. I suppose we'll I know the road's open at the moment, so we're kind of looking at our work programmes from this year, trying to identify what are our specific objectives for this year, and that's an area that we'll obviously consider and look at as well. But we're also this year looking at the river walk along Farnham Road and Railway Road along that area there. We are 25 years twinned with our twin town of France this year. And one of the things that we're looking at there is to open up that stretch of the river a little bit more and putting in a French garden, or a French themed garden, just to mark the 25 years, but also to improve that part of the river walk as well.
Because that'd be good actually for Cavan to make a little bit more out of the river.
Absolutely.
In the town.
Yeah, and again,
it doesn't make enough out of it.
If you look back at the IBAL reports over the last couple of years, one of the problem areas that we would have had was the river walk itself. Now, in the last 2-3 years, we've put a lot of work, a lot of effort into trying to deal with that problem, and we've managed to maintain that. And that again was commented on in the report, that they can see that we've actually
you were learning from the report,
and we've tackled the issue on it. So this, as far as we're concerned, will be a continuation of that plan as well.
That's brilliant, Brian. Listen, thanks a million for coming in to us this evening.
No problem, thank you.
And congratulations, well done.
Thanks very much.
Well done.
Thank you.
So Shinjura and Clerk Community Focus or CavanTV.com. Thanks for watching the show, and have a great week.